your coffee and kick back, because The View is live. The SCOTUS Show.
So was that a surprise? Was it?
Trump's huge reality TV rollout for his Supreme Court pick. Why not everyone's applauding? Plus,
wow, where did you learn these moves?
The world may have forgotten about Dance Dance Revolution, but not this smooth criminal.
The Big Bang Theory's Johnny Galecki. And are Trump and Obama both wrong about race relations? Best-selling author Michael Eric Dyson on why America still has a lot to learn about racial issues. Hump Day Hot Topics are here with Whoopi, Sunny Hostin, Joy Behar, Sarah Haynes, and Jedediah Bila. Now, let's get things started.
After keeping America in suspense throughout the day, yesterday our new president called back to his reality TV past to unveil his Supreme Court pick on primetime television. The Washington Post had a little bit of fun with it, and this is how the Washington Post sort of put it together. Take a look.
I would like to ask Judge Gorsuch and his wonderful wife Louise to please step forward. Was it?
Yes.
Did it need to be?
With all the showmanship aside, Senate Democrats are skeptical of such a conservative pick. He's 49, so he'll probably be serving, if he gets in, for a long time. And so, you know, what do you think?
I liked him. Not shocking. He's an originalist, so that means he supports the Constitution. Basically, he believes, from what I'm looking at in his rulings, Sonny, I don't know if you're the lawyer here, so I'm sure you'll have an important take on it, but from what I'm seeing is he basically believes that we should live by the letter of the Constitution, that whatever that says, he doesn't believe in legislating from the bench. One thing I really like is that he supports a separation of powers, so he doesn't want the executive branch infringing upon the judicial branch or either or, so he wants to respect the separation of powers as delineated in the Constitution. And based on his rulings, I like his defense of religious freedoms. I like the fact that he's defending a lot of businesses and their rights to not have the government tell them what to do when it comes to their own private business. I liked a lot of what I saw, and I think he seems like an all-around decent human being, smart guy, Harvard graduate. I have a lot of confidence in what he'll do.
Why should they do it, though? Because the Republicans stood in the way of Obama's pick. Why should they say okay to this?
And that's the problem that I have. I mean, I agree with you, Jed. You know, he is probably the most qualified pick that Trump has made in these past few weeks. And he has a sterling pedigree. I mean, he's a beautiful writer. I've read his opinions. And he's perfectly qualified. But I think his nomination is illegitimate because the person that should be sitting in that seat is Merrick Garland. Because Merrick Garland was nominated by President Obama with almost a year left in his term. And so, in my view, it doesn't matter that he's so qualified because he just shouldn't even be in the mix at this point.
I had a problem originally when the Republicans stood in the way of that nomination because I say we elect these officials and their job is to... They were saying we're not even going to look at them before they looked at who the candidate was.
Yeah.
But I am consistent on that. I find it is not right now the Republican or the Democrats' job to stand. They need to look at each of these candidates, as I said, the Republicans should have before. I think their job is to look at what's being brought to them. That's how it played out. That...
You know, the Democrats always go to a gunfight with a knife.
Yeah.
Let them go with a gun this time.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it being okay for the goose, but not the gander.
The problem
Why?
is the people are the only ones who suffer. We need to keep moving forward.
Well,
You fight the fights that are good. Like, pick your battles. If you really don't like this candidate, fight against him.
Well, it's the right of the Senate to consent, right? So Merrick Garland didn't have the Senate's consent, and I think it's the right of the Senate now, if they want to object, they can object here as well. I mean, that's why we have division.
They wouldn't even vote on Garland. They wouldn't even vote
Right,
on
but
him. And that is not their right. That is not their right.
They didn't have to vote on it.
have to vote
They
on
don't
this
have to. They don't have to. I think with this pick, this guy, Gorsuch, was appointed in 2006 to the United States Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit. He was confirmed unanimously, including by 12 Democratic senators. He had the support of Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama,
Merrick
Hillary
Garland had the
Clinton,
support
Joe
of the
Biden.
Republicans as well.
100%. I'm with
There
you.
you go.
I agree
Yeah.
with you, though. On both sides of the aisle, the Senate has a right to say, we don't like this guy. Democrats had a right to do it. Republicans have a right to
Well,
do it.
here's
Let him
what's
speak.
interesting
he'll
to me
overturn
about...
Roe v. Wade?
He
I do not.
can't.
He can't.
He
No.
can't. And here's
The
why.
shift of it.
Because if he truly believes in the Constitution, that's part of the Constitution now.
correct.
And he cannot overturn it.
I agree with you.
He can't. So if he in fact is going to do the job he's supposed to do, and he believes in the Constitution, because, I heard he was a constitutionalist also, and I always am curious, because in the Constitution, people always say women are not talked about. They don't talk about women. No, in the Constitution, talk about people, persons, but they do not talk about us because we were considered furniture. Chattel. So where does that put us in the Constitution? What does that mean to us? So I always like to check, and I thought to myself, okay, he says he's a strict constitutionalist with its amendments, and that's what he's about. So he can't touch, according to himself, Roe v. Wade. But, you kind of look at it and you think, all right, what is their job? Their job is to interpret the law and tell us what we are supposed to be doing, what we can be doing. I want to make sure, as I would with anybody, that he is, in fact, about the law and not about the president.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's important. To me, that's the most important thing. I say this all the time. There have been Supreme Court justices who have evolved over the years, who started in one place and ended up in another place.
Sort of.
No, not sort of.
I spoke to Jeff Toobin about it, and he studied the court for so long, and he says it's almost like a
Judge Frankfurter evolved over the time he was there.
They evolved, but
as people,
but their judicial practices and opinions and leanings don't evolve as much as we think they
Scalia
do.
never evolved, really.
They don't. So
And
Trump
I
is
am
also-
telling you
Alito is
that
not evolving.
Okay, look.
He didn't, but some
look
did.
up Frankfurter. Look up some of the judges who had to make adjustments to the way they thought when we found that we had the first black Supreme Court justice. They had to evolve. They evolved enough, some of them evolved enough to allow the conversation to be had about equal rights for black folks. People evolved. So I'm saying that, when Roberts came in, I was nervous about him because I didn't know, because everybody said, well, he's gonna vote this way. And he hasn't necessarily done that. So I'm hoping that this man, if he is accepted, does what his job is supposed to do.
Yeah, that's why I had reassurance when I looked at a lot of the writings that he had about separation of powers, because he looks like the type of person that says, I'm not trying to be president, and the president shouldn't try to be me.
He's not going to be beholden to the president. I think he's going to be beholden to the Constitution.
That's the most important thing.
That's right.
And if he is going with the work, if he's going with the law, he can feel whatever he wants to feel privately. But he's got to adhere to the law. And my God, today kicks off Black History Month. And since they chose the shortest month of the year to do it, 28 days, like a period. We need to honor as many trailblazers as we can fit in. So today I want to spotlight two people. Ida B. Wells Barnett was born a slave and went on to become a co-founder of the NAACP, pioneer and one of the first black female newspaper owners who risked her life to report on lynchings in America. And Bayard, or some say Bayard Rustin, a civil rights activist, also a gay rights pioneer and key advisor to Dr. Martin Luther King, who actually taught King about Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolent resistance. Now, we're just scratching the surface here of how these two changed the world. So please Enlighten yourself by learning more about them. We'll be right back.
Later, mommy tantrums. The biggest grown-up meltdowns the ladies unleashed on their kids and other adults.
Welcome back. Feast your eyes on this beauty, because by this time tomorrow, it might be yours. We're giving you a chance to win this amazing Gucci bag worth almost $2,000, but time is running out. So go to our Facebook page to enter by 5 p.m. Eastern today and tune in tomorrow to see if you're the lucky winner.
Wow. It's pretty.
Isn't Farrah like that girl on And What's Behind the Door? What's behind
I
the door?
auditioned to be Vanna White, and I didn't get the part. Still bitter and too soon, okay?
You could be turning letters over now instead of
I know.
It's funny you should mention that. Since millennials made it a point to come out hard against fat shaming, a blogger in New York Magazine hopes they will do the same for age shaming, so women don't feel so self-conscious about showing their age.
Oh, that. Good luck with that.
You know, I have said many times I'm 48. You know, I'm 48 on the show, and thank you. Because I think I know a lot of my friends refuse to say, you know, give their age.
Is that why you're clapping?
Look what I just got. I got an AARP card. Right? So I got the AARP card in the mail. And my husband, who's younger, I'm only 48. Apparently, you can't qualify till you're 50.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that. So I got online. I was like, oh, I'm going to get all these discounts. And my husband, I like a good discount, ladies. You know I do. So my husband, who's younger, started kind of age-shaming me. And I was like, oh, you're the first person that's going to tell me to call and make reservations so that I get the AARP discount. You know?
How old is Manny?
He's a couple of years younger than I am.
I didn't know
He's
that.
22. Just want to say.
But he kind of age-shamed me, which was, I was surprised
He
at
wants
that.
the discounts.
He totally wants a discount.
He's a little on the cheap side, your husband, huh?
Oh, you know he is. You know he
That's
is.
frugal.
All right.
And Max is also, he's 5.5 years younger, so I feel old every day.
We're all cougars on
we
this
are
panel.
cougars.
Yeah.
Whoopi's like, don't speak for me.
Whoopi, I trust, has been a cougar over the years, right?
I've been everything over
She's
the
been
years.
a cougar. Yeah. But every one
Top,
of us
bottom, side.
Whoa, how do you do side?
I'll tell you later.
with a chair. But every one of us has a younger husband or boyfriend.
Yeah.
Has had.
No, we have them now, too.
I don't have one now.
No, just you, I said.
I've had,
in the past.
you know,
Yours is the
2-year-olds, 100-year-olds. I don't.
Jedediah's is the youngest
The
one.
biggest gap.
Yeah, the
but
biggest gap.
I feel like for me, and to own this, I feel like women do this a lot of times to themselves. Like, I don't need someone else to age shame me. I do a good enough job of that myself. And I feel like once I hit 35, I'm 38, once I hit 35, I started feeling like I had to pay attention to stuff that I hadn't paid attention to before. Like, the mirror all of a sudden became like, what is going on in there?
Yeah.
Well, let me
You know,
say-
and I
let me
had
say-
to, but it's
Stuff
from
changes.
me. Like, it's on us. Like, we can't say society, men. It's us. Like, either like.
Jedediah, I have hula hoops home older than you, okay? And I, at my advanced age, I felt older when I was 30 than I do now.
Wow.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
When I was 30, it was like my youth is gone. My 20s I wasted by being married, for example. And then 30 came and I thought, well, I'm not a kid. I have to grow up, you know? And I felt old. And now it's like, I don't care anymore. Now you say whatever you want. I'm impervious to criticism.
That's the wisdom of time.
It's not wisdom.
No, they say in time that you stop caring so much about what other people think of you, and I think
that
see that a
happens.
wisdom
That happens.
comes with time.
I don't care what people think of me anymore.
Clearly, Joy.
But I do not, what you said, I don't want to give in to looking old. No.
Yeah,
That's off the table.
that's different.
As Shirley MacLaine said in Postcards from the Edge, I don't mind getting old, I just don't want to look old.
You know, I mean, I think about the alternative, and I'm really grateful.
Yeah.
There is that.
We'll be right back.
And a lot of people die young.
Still ahead, The Big Bang Theory's Johnny Galecki. And is President Trump tearing race relations apart? Best-selling author Michael Eric Dyson has a wake-up call the entire country needs to hear.
Welcome back. Hey, what's in the bowl, Sarah?
Me again.
Yeah.
We are upping your game this Valentine's Day with a gift that was literally made just for the ones you love. My M&Ms lets you customize and personalize M&Ms just like these that were made for us. And thanks to My M&Ms, viewers at home can use the code THEVIEW on the My M&Ms website for 25% off their purchase. And members of our audience are going home with a voucher for up to $100.
You know,
I'm eating Joyce food.
it's funny you should bring that up. Because people are constantly checking out their smartphones all the time. It's ruining people's lives, according to a blogger on the website The Verge. He's a blogger. Get it? It's kind of odd that he's saying this. So he wants to bring back what he calls the dumb phone, that just makes calls so people actually have to interact with each other more. Now, in between the breaks that we have, you know, we go off, we have commercials and stuff. These guys, the first thing they do is this.
Me?
You say, I'm using your phone because I don't have mine, you notice.
Yeah.
This is what happens. They do this. You say, and we'll be right back, and they're like this.
These two are the worst.
It's true. You know, yesterday I left
This
my...
one's got 14 phones.
I know, I have several.
Yeah, the other day I had it. What was it? What's today? Wednesday? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
I went to get my hair colored,
Right.
and I left my phone in the restaurant I had lunch in.
Right.
I was in a total panic state.
attack,
I was
yes.
at the hairdresser, and I'm thinking, oh my God, how am I going to call my husband? I have to tell him what time I'm coming home. And I don't remember his number.
You don't remember
See,
his
that's
number.
the problem with this.
Yes.
I know.
I
Because
don't
you
know
don't
the
have to
guy's
do it.
number.
And you know
Everything
what?
is
I have
there.
to tell you, I don't mind that idea. I want us to step back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I tell you, no one used to break into my doctor's office to get my personal information. You know what I mean?
Well, there's
But
that.
they can, but think about all the things that,
they
you
can
know,
get
robbers
that we
had to use. They used to have to go directly to the place to get, they had to go to Social Security to get your number.
Yes.
You know,
DMV.
they had
True.
to, or DMV,
Yeah.
they had to go to those places. Now all they have to do is hack.
I know.
And for me, this is an issue. And I don't mind, and I know it's a little more work for folks, but peace of mind for people to know that their Social Security numbers or their medical records aren't going to get stolen. I
Well,
mean,
you know what,
that's
Bobby,
to be a better way.
I don't feel it's ever going to go backwards because this little baby does everything.
It does everything. And
It does.
I mean,
Very-
but I
No,
also
it
ask
does.
for
It
that.
does a lot of things. It doesn't do everything because what it doesn't do is it doesn't teach you how to have a conversation with the person sitting next to you.
That's true.
It doesn't teach
Well,
you.
we know that already.
Yeah, but kids don't know that.
I think it's the kid piece
Well, the
that bothers
It's
me
the,
the
you know,
most.
kids don't
Well,
know
we went
that.
back
Yeah.
to
The dumb phones
the dumb
so that
phones
they
or the
are
flip
protected.
phones. I think the idea of in case of emergency comes back. 'Cause
Yes.
the first phone I
That
think
I
all of
like.
us got. I remember
Yeah.
having one that my dad said, seriously, unless you're in, like someone's
Yes.
criminally attacking you, do not use this phone. It's so expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember I didn't get my first phone until after college.
Well, imagine us.
Yeah.
Well, my grandson is not allowed. He's not allowed an iPad, an iPhone. He's not allowed any of it. So when he comes to my house, that's the first thing he wants to do.
Yeah.
But he is not allowed.
Do you remember texting with you had to push the number A, B, C
Do you
every.
remember when you couldn't text?
Yeah.
But the
That's a long time ago.
Do you remember
Cell
when your
phones don't
mother
have-
used to pick? Well, you don't remember, but in the olden days, the phone would ring in the house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Your mother picked the phone up.
Right.
Yep.
She wanted to know who it was, and she decided if
And
you
they
got to
rotary
talk to
phones.
somebody.
I
said I
Yes.
caller ID.
Caller ID, yeah.
It
Caller
didn't-
ID.
your mother was caller ID. Your
Exactly.
mother was caller ID. She didn't care if it was Johnny, Jamie,
Yeah.
Mickey, Maggie.
It's like that
and she
song.
said no.
It's like that song, Dr. Hook, Sylvia's mother says. Right? I love that song.
Yes.
I
It's a great
like the
song.
caller ID because, like, without caller ID, it's like picking up a hitchhiker. You,
have-
don't know
you-
who's
you
on
have-
the phone.
You have
The
caller
exact
ID.
same thing, Sonny.
Yeah.
Exact
Yeah.
same
Caller
thing.
ID. You know, before we go, want to say goodbye to a New York legend and a friend of mine, Frank Pellegrino Sr., who was the owner of the iconic and impossible to get into
Right.
restaurant Rayo's. We lost him yesterday at 72, just way too
That's
soon.
all?
That's all.
Oh.
And so he was a great, great guy and the epitome of what you want a restaurateur to be.
You
when
cannot
go.
get a table there.
Well, no. I could. We'll be right back.
I'm author and Georgetown University professor Michael Eric Dyson. What do Presidents Trump and Obama have in common? They're both wrong on race relations. I'm telling you why and what America needs to do about it next.
Immigration bans, border walls are creating an even bigger racial divide in America. And the best-selling author Michael Eric Dyson does not hold back in his new book, Tears We Cannot Stop, A Sermon to White America. Please welcome Michael Eric Dyson. So, Michael, you know, it's the first day of Black History Month, and when I was reading your book, it reminded me of The Fire Next Time, you know, which is one of the great writers, not only Black writer, but just great writers ever, James Baldwin, and he writes about believing. Sometimes believing what white folks say about folks places Black folks in a box. Does that still ring true?
That's great. First of all, thank you for that comparison. That's an incredible honor. But yes, it is true. And he talked about his father who believed the lie that white America had told him, the stereotypical representation of his blackness, not the brilliant, beautiful black man that he was, not the independent author of his own existence. He was dependent upon a culture that would demonize him and give him a sense of himself that was limited and circumscribed. So James Baldwin wanted to break out of that box, and he wanted Black America to break out of that box. And as the first day of Black History Month, this celebrates the fact that Black history is not just for Black people, it's for everybody. Toni Morrison is great for all people. John Coltrane is great for all people. Whoopi Goldberg is great for all of America.
Well, Michael, you call the book Tears We Cannot Stop, A Sermon to White America. That's pretty provocative. Why call it that, and why this book now?
Well, you know, I'm an ordained Baptist minister, have been for 35 years. So I can't, you know, as the old Black people say, I had my burning before I had my learning. So I wanted to celebrate a tradition of speaking, a Jeremiad, speaking to white America as a brother. That's why I call them beloved throughout the book, because you see, when we look at Donald Trump is the rose. What is the ground, okay, or another flower? What is the ground from which he emerged? Whiteness produced him. A certain sense of selfishness, a certain sense of self-importance, a certain sense of innocence, a certain sense of privilege that he fails to acknowledge. And the best of white culture has to war against the worst of white culture for us to embrace it. Because remember, Frankenstein is the name of the doctor, not the monster. So what produced this heinous manifestation we see of President Trump is the fact that there is a culture of intolerance for the other that punishes not only people of color, it punishes white people too. Martin Luther King Jr. was in jail in Birmingham, and the jailers came to him and said, Dr. King, you're wrong. Segregation is right. He said, no, it's not. He said, the way of righteousness is right. And then he asked them, how much money do you make? And then when they told him, he said, well, hell, you need to be marching with us. So white people have more in common with those who are poor and struggling and middle class than they do with the so-called captains of industry and the so-called blue-collar billionaires who are ruining and ruling America.
But you mentioned in the book, and you address that idea, that many people refuse to admit that their own whiteness is a privilege. And you say, quote, the most radical action a white person can take is to acknowledge this denied privilege, to say, yes, you're right. What do white people not understand about what it means to be Black in America?
Look, I'm a man. So I have male privilege. I can say, hey, it makes no difference, but I don't have to worry about going from my house to my garage and fearing that I'll be raped, the way a woman may consider. So male supremacy and male privilege is unconscious and invisible because I'm a man. White brothers and sisters don't see that they have privilege. They say, oh my God, look at you people who are politically correct now. You want safe spaces. Well, your white body is a safe space in a way that African-American, Latino, women's bodies are not. So when I'm suggesting to white Americans, I love you. I want you to engage in the introspection that you encourage everybody else to do, and then think about the privilege. The ultimate white privilege may be this. You encounter a police person and live to tell about it. Many people of color do not do that. Many people who are outside the parameters of what it means to be acceptable cannot have that engagement. So I'm saying there are many privileges that white brothers and sisters have, and if you acknowledge it, then we can figure out how to unmask that privilege and then to challenge it. Because I think Donald Trump, not to get back to him, but to be on him, Donald Trump is the manifestation, the very face of a kind of white refusal to grow up. This is the first toddler presidency. This is the inability to acknowledge the legitimacy of America as a great nation, and I think Donald Trump needs to help to account.
Michael, in terms of acknowledging things, what bothers me is that there's a segment of the population in this country that refuses to acknowledge that real racism still exists. When you're faced with that, how do you even begin to have an argument? How do you inspire yourself to approach this discussion when you have a whole segment of the population that doesn't acknowledge a reality that anyone with common sense still recognizes?
That's a great point. You know, when Whoopi's at the beginning of the show, when she talked about the fact that we weren't even included in the Constitution as black people and women, and yet we did something. We imagined a different future. In this book, I talk about Howard Thurman, a great black mystic, and he said our foremothers and forefathers faced long rows of cotton, the interminable heat, the rawhide whip of the overseer, but what they did was imagine a different future. We cannot reduce our lives to the opposition we confront. We must give them something deeper, something more profound. Just because you dehumanize me doesn't mean I don't access my humanity. And that's why I'm asking white brothers and sisters, give up whiteness and do something deeper. Become a human being. Access what we all are born with. You're not born to be white or black or brown or red or yellow. You're born to be human. And what I do is remember that and then offer that to the world.
You've talked about politics a lot, and you've talked about how President Trump is ignorant about race in many ways. You've also talked about President Obama, though, and suggested that, you know, perhaps he didn't use his time in office as effectively as he could have to combat these racial issues. What could he have done differently to make it right?
Well, look, the man was in an incredibly difficult position, and I hesitate to say anything negative about a guy who could read, write, and compute, and had literacy, and who read books, and who was informed at a high level, versus what we got right now. What a guy who tweets out his own arrogance. That's what I mean by tolerant. But I will say this. I think that two things. President Obama went out of his way to castigate and cast aspersions against African-American people that I think led people to believe we got more problems than anybody else. Our pathologies are deeply rooted and entrenched. But secondly, I think what he did is that he failed to challenge white brothers and sisters. I don't mean he had to be a Black Panther. I just meant he had to say, white privilege is real, let's challenge that. But all in all, one of the greatest presidents who ever lived, his issues on race, not so deep.
Boy, I'm sorry, because that would have been a great conversation. But we're out of time. I know.
I'll come back. I'll come back.
Well, we like that.
All right,
we
I'll
like
come back.
that. Thanks to Michael Eric Dyson. His book, Tears We Cannot Stop, A Sermon to White America, is available now, and members of our studio audience are going home with a copy. You all going to get a copy. Everybody's going home with a copy. We'll be right back.
Hi guys, Johnny Galecki here to talk about my new movie, Rings, about a film that could kill anyone who watches it. So, you know, good, wholesome family entertainment.
Johnny Galecki has cracked us up on the Big Bang Theory, but now he's scaring the hell out of us in the terrifying new movie Rings. Please welcome Johnny Galecki. How are you? So nice to see you again. It's been a while.
It's been, I think, 5 years or so.
Yeah, 5 or 6 years you've been here. You haven't been here.
Thank you. Wonderful to see you again.
Welcome back.
So what have you been up to? No, I'm kidding. I know that you won a People's Choice Award. Your show did.
Thank you. Thank the people.
But the what is it? The best TV comedy series.
Yes, the people's favorite.
And
so thank you.
That's great. Oh. I would congratulate you even more, but we were nominated. We didn't win, so. Am I bitter? No.
Next year.
Yeah. I mean, we lost the GMA though, so
it's in the family.
It's in the family.
Right,
yeah.
right.
The Manson. No kidding.
Well, The Big Bang Theory, it's been on for 10 seasons.
Wow.
Yeah.
10 seasons.
Good.
And it's been the #1 comedy forever. But
again, that's thanks to you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, just saying 10 seasons, you know, season 10 is incredibly surreal, and it's never lost on any of us that it's entirely due to y'all's love and support of these characters and stories. So thank you very, very much.
But inquiring minds want to know, the fans want to know, is there going to be an 11th season, or are you going to tell us right now?
You know, that's a more important question for the writers. If they can feel confident in coming up with more stories for this handful of characters, and they've said that they do. So we're working on it, and I know we all want to. So.
Good. I have another question.
Okay.
So we talk a lot on our show about whether or not exes can get together and work together, and can you be friends? Kaylee Cuoco plays Penny on the show. Your character, Leonard, and Penny recently got married, but you two actually dated in real life.
We did, yes.
So how did you work that out?
Massive doses of mutual love and respect, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy, but with those two ingredients, pretty much anything is possible, and we're dear, dear friends.
You're associated with a couple of holiday movies, which I was not really totally aware of until today. Two cult favorites.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I could have.
How have you not?
Because I don't watch Christmas movies as a rule.
We watch it every year.
Yeah.
The Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation and Prancer. I just don't. I don't know why. I watch like Why the Grinch Stole Christmas, and that's it.
This is the best holiday movie you have ever seen.
I know.
Go plug in the lights.
Yeah.
Go plug in the lights. The scene where he keeps turning on the light. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
I love that. I mean, it's
so anyway. So I'm the idiot, and that's fine.
No.
But so tell me, how does it feel to be like, you know, the Christmas kid?
Well, we shot that and Prancer, and of course you can see I was a child in the same year. So essentially I spent that entire year in a winter, whether it was real or fake snow.
oh my gosh.
And that was, I mean, I think I turned 14 on that movie, and it was really my first comedy, and so Chevy Chase kind of took me under his arm and showed me the rhythms and the beats, and then would take me out during our lunch breaks, and we would go to the sets of Ghostbusters 2 and Harlem Nights, and so here I was right off the boat from Chicago meeting Red Fox and Richard Pryor.
Did you like
and
that
Eddie
childhood?
Murphy.
Did you love that childhood or not?
The weird carny actor childhood that I had?
Yeah.
Yes.
You liked it?
I can't imagine doing anything else.
No, I didn't see those movies, but I did watch Roseanne quite a bit.
Also saw that. Not mutually exclusive.
No, Roseanne. No, but Roseanne was
That's how I remember
that show is one of the funniest sitcoms.
That was on forever.
A wonderfully funny show.
What was that?
I'm very
I did 5 of their 9 years. They did 9 years total, yeah.
You've made a totally expected step from Roseanne and the holiday movies to a horror movie called Rings, which is it's a continuation of the brand of the scary movie.
Yeah, it's kind of a reboot of the first franchise.
Yes. Now, one thing I always wonder when people were in these types of movies is, do you leave work at work when you leave? Because I freak out watching it at home when you're in it and you're seeing some of these scenes. How do you leave it behind for the day?
You kind of get used to it. I mean, those movies are a lot of work. I mean, there's worse jobs, obviously, but you know, there's a lot of technical stuff that goes into it, and you know, it's about is the light reflecting off the axe blade correctly and stuff like that. So,
well, we have a clip too. Let's look at the clip and then we'll come back.
Hello?
7 days.
Oh, there she is. Now, I love that we just showed people that clip, because the whole premise of the movie is if you watch the video, you're gonna die. Like, why did you show that?
Days, yes. Yeah, and I think that was the last scene that we shot of mine, and I got in the car to go home that 7 days, and I looked at my phone, I looked at my email, and there was one with the subject line said 7 days. And I was like, and it had nothing to do with the movie. It was like some political spam that I got letting me know about some vote that was happening. But it's still scary. I didn't tell a soul until the week was up because I was so afraid. I didn't want to give it more power than it, you know.
I got to tell you, I hate scary movies, but as research for the show, I watched Rings last night.
You.
I had a nice nightmare.
Did you?
Thank you. Scariest, creepiest movie ever.
That's the point.
Like this
Have you watched the original Ring?
No.
Oh, Naomi Watts is fantastic in it.
It's crazy, and then people were coming
I'm going to
out.
make you watch
You
it.
should do the next one with us.
No.
You know,
She's been talking about this all morning, how she can't believe she had to watch this because it scared her so
It
badly.
scared me.
sorry.
I'm in awe.
Next
I'm
time
in
I'll come
awe,
back with
Johnny.
a nice Christmas movie for you to watch. Yeah.
I am in awe of your versatility.
Yeah.
And do not wait 6 more years to come back.
Oh, God, no.
Thanks for
I hope
coming
not.
today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks to Johnny Galecki. The Big Bang Theory airs Thursday nights. Check your local listings. His new movie Rings is in theaters Friday.
Thanks for coming. You made us better. Everybody, have a great day. Take a little time to enjoy the view, y'all.